What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Married at First Sight Boston Reunion Part 1. So, all the couples were there, including Alyssa and Chris. I was really happy to see Chris, not so happy to see Alyssa, but I had to just grin and bear it. Obviously, I was happy to see Kevin Frazier. He's always the host of the reunions. I enjoy him being the host of the Married at First Sight reunions. I think he asks really good questions. I think he asks really good follow-up questions as well. I like how he talks with the couples. I like how he's comfortable with everybody, and I like how he's comfortable with himself because I don't watch the after party, but the little glimpses that I've seen of Keisha Knight Pulliam, she always seems a little bit uncomfortable being there. I don't know why. Something about her demeanor and how she's sitting in the chair, she kind of comes across like she's not really comfortable with being on the show or with herself. I'm not really sure what it is. But Kevin Frazier, he's very easygoing. He just seems really comfortable to be there with these couples. And I wish that Kevin Frazier hosted the after party, because if he did, I would watch every bit of it. So they first start talking about Mark losing 40 pounds. Now, I didn't think Mark was a really big guy to begin with. So I think if he would have lost 40 pounds, it would have been very noticeable, but it wasn't that noticeable to me. I thought maybe he looked like he lost 10, 15 pounds. Maybe his face still looked the same to me. His body pretty much looked the same. Maybe if he would have stood up, I would have noticed it, but I really didn't notice like a 40-pound weight loss in Mark. I didn't think he looked that bad to begin with. He looked just as good on the reunion, but I didn't see a 40-pound weight loss, but maybe it could have just been my eyes. So they start talking about the stuff that went down on the honeymoon. So they ask Alyssa, why did she tell the other couples, whenever they asked her how things were going between her and Chris, why did she tell them that everything was going well when obviously it wasn't? She said that she didn't want to talk about her issues with Chris to the other couples. Alyssa denied that she wanted to live in the apartment just to hang out with the girls. I don't know why she denied that, because what other reason would she have had to stay in the apartment without Chris other than hanging out with the girls? And she did say several times that she wanted to hang out with the girls. She said that to Chris. She said that in her confessionals. I don't know why she's denying it now. Olajuwon said that Alyssa should have given Chris a chance. I'm glad that she didn't. Because I don't think that they would have been a good fit. I don't think that Alyssa is good enough for Chris. So they talk about Lindsay's comments to Noy and Steve. And I think this was when they went on their couples retreat. I don't think this was at the honeymoon. I think at the couples retreat, Lindsay had asked a question to Noy and Steve. And I don't know why she was like in attack mode against them. Well, we all know that that night, Lindsay did have a little bit too much to drink. So maybe that's why she was being as rude as she was. I don't quite remember the question that she asked. That's something pertaining to surviving on one income and Steve not working, and does Noy make enough to support the both of them? Something to that effect. She was really like throwing shade at their financial situation because Steve wasn't working and Noy was the only one working. So Steve had warned Noy not to share too much information with Lindsay. And what did Noy do? She did exactly the opposite of what her husband requested. She went and she told Lindsay that her and Steve had consummated their marriage. Lindsay took that information and shared it with the producer. And Lindsay denied it. At first, she says, no, I didn't do that. And then later on, she said, well, at least I didn't share it with anybody in the group. So you did share it with someone, but just not with anybody in the group. Okay. We start off with Katina and Olajuwon. So everybody clears the stage except for Katina and Olajuwon. So Kevin predicted, he told them that he had predicted that they would not have worked out, that they would not have said yes on decision day. And same thing with me. I never saw it coming that they would want to stay married. So they reminisce about their wedding day. Then they talk about the cooking. And Olajuwon says, he stands by what he said, that her cooking was unedible. And Olajuwon does admit that maybe he could have used a better choice of words, or he could have delivered it a little bit better. better. He didn't have to be as harsh as he was. So that was good, but he still stands by what he said, that her food is not edible. They talked about whether or not Olajuwon is still requiring or expecting Katina to cook every single night. Olajuwon said no, he's not expecting that anymore. He understands that the cooking is a two-way street. She's not the one that's going to be solely responsible to make all the meals every single day. So he's gotten a lot more relaxed on that issue. So they do takeout, whatever. He cooks, she cooks, they cook together. It's not a hard and fast rule like it was before that Katina had to cook. Olajuwon says that the reason why he no longer expects that is because he took a really long, hard look at himself when he watched himself on the show, and he didn't like how he came across, and he realized that he had to make some changes within himself. Katina knew that Olajuwon would improve. She just had to be patient. So she talks about, having this faith that, things were going to work out between them, that she believed in Olajuwon. She knew that he was going to be the man for her, that he was going to make the improvements that he needed. All she had to do was just stand by her man and stick through it and be patient. And so then the universe, heard her. The universe saw all the patience that she was putting into this relationship, all the hard work that she was putting into this relationship, and the universe awarded her with a much better, improved version of Olajuwon. So I feel like Katina sees something in Olajuwon that I know I didn't see when I was watching the season. She was able to look past him demanding her to cook every day. She was able to look past him berating her when he found an old dating app on her phone, and him yelling at her, screaming at her, talking down to her. She was able to look past all of that. She was able to look past his condescending, patronizing way. She was able to look past how he criticized her, how he talked about how she isn't where she is supposed to be in life compared to him, how he criticized her decision-making skills, how he criticized the choices that she has made to be where she's at right now. Like, why didn't you finish school as soon as, in 4 years like the rest of us? Why don't you have a house like me? I made sure that I had to have certain things in order, but you never did that. Why didn't you do all that stuff? So she was able to look past all of that. And she was able to see that at the end of the rainbow, there was going to be this, brand new, improved, shiny, sparkly version of Olajuwon that was now sitting next to her on that stage at the reunion. Olajuwon talks about how much he appreciated how she had the faith in him when it was so easy to give up amid public opinion. So he talked about how, online everybody was telling Katina to leave Olajuwon, that this wasn't a good marriage for her, this wasn't a good match for her, this was not the right guy for her. So it was criticism upon criticism upon criticism, and she was able to completely ignore all of that because she knew what she had in her life. She knew what kind of man he was. So the fact that she was able to disregard what the whole world was telling her, he was very impressed by that she was able to still see the good in him and still believe in him and have that faith in him that this was the right man for her. Olajuwon said that when he saw himself on television, he realized that he had a lot of work to do with himself. He was like, I don't understand why nobody called me out on my foolishness. Well, I think people would try to call you out on your foolishness, but then you would get really mad at them. I know Michael tried to talk to him. He didn't want to listen. Dr. Pepper tried to talk to him. He didn't want to listen. I think Pastor Cal tried to talk to him. He didn't want to listen. So people were trying to gear him in the right direction, but he didn't want to listen. But I guess it had to take him actually looking at himself when he saw, damn, I was going kind of hard on my wife, or I was a little bit too aggressive in areas where I didn't need to be aggressive at all. So that is Katina and Olajuwon. Oh, and by the way, he sold his house because he said that he wanted to get rid of anything associated with his past life, anything associated with Isaac, his alter ego, the player in him. So he sold his house, and now him and Katina found their own apartment. And I guess in the future, they're going to work towards building or buying a home of their own. And then he got down on one knee and I'm not going to say he proposed to her because they're already married, but he offered her, or he presented a ring to her. So he upgraded her ring to this beautiful, beautiful solitaire diamond ring. It was gorgeous. So he upgraded her ring, and of course, she broke down. She was completely speechless, and she was just so overwhelmed with emotion. So they look good together, and it seems like this is going to work out for them. Now, they're kind of, sort of, and I'm really afraid to admit this because I was so turned off by Olajuwon. And I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I kind of feel like they might be my new favorite couple, considering what happened to Jasmine and Michael. So I think this might be my new favorite couple. I think they're really adorable together. I think Olajuwon needs a woman like Katina. Now, does Katina need a man like Olajuwon? Well, the jury is still out on that, in my opinion. Moving on to Chris and Alyssa. So Alyssa and Chris, now they're on stage. They're in the hot seat, and Alyssa's still portraying herself as the victim. To me, she's still a jerk. I feel like Chris dodged a huge, ugly bullet when he requested to be divorced from Alyssa. Alyssa claims that she was not mentally aware of her disgusting behavior. Now, she says that as soon as she had seen Chris at the altar, it just really discombobulated her. Like, it just put her like in a really weird mental space because this is not what she asked for. This is not what she wanted. It was like return to sender ASAP. This is not what I told the experts what I wanted. So as soon as she saw him at the altar, it was downhill from there for her. So she says because of the fact that she was so disappointed in the person that the experts chose for her, she was never able to be like, to like put her mind back on track. So she was not even aware of how ugly she was to him. She was not even aware of the ugly things that she said, the horrible, insulting, disgusting things that she said to him, the things that she said about him. She was completely unaware of it. She was mentally unaware of it all because her mind was just in like completely like jumbled up when she saw him at the altar and realized that this was not going to work out as soon as she laid eyes on him. Alyssa went on to talk. She said she went on the honeymoon because she thought that she had to. She didn't know that she had a choice to not go on the honeymoon. Nobody believes that, Alyssa. I don't even know why you bothered to say that. You could, if you really felt like you had to go on the honeymoon and you had no choice, why didn't you ask? Why didn't you? I mean, you spent a lot of time talking to the producers. You talked to the producers more than you did to your own husband. So at any point, you could have been like, you know what? I don't really feel comfortable being here. I'm not feeling this guy. Can I just go home? And I'm pretty sure they would have told you yes. And you would have had, a free ticket back home to your home state. Stop with the nonsense telling us that you felt like you had to go on the honeymoon. You wanted to get a free vacation. You wanted to live in a free apartment for, I don't know, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, or whatever amount of time it was going to be. That's all you wanted. You were just a freeloader. You were just freeloading off of Lifetime or, the producers and creators of the show. Alyssa had also said that she hated the expert. So they showed us some unseen footage where she's, talking to the producer. She's upset about something, probably upset about filming a scene with Chris. And she was demanding that the producers, come there right then and there to fix this problem. And then she told the producers that she hated them and they asked her why. And she said that she hated the experts because they didn't give her what she wanted, as if, he's the number 3 on the Burger King menu. And she can just return, ask for her money back or just return it for something better. Girl, you need help. I don't want to play around with mental issues and I don't want to minimize mental issues. But I'm with all jokes aside, all seriousness, Alyssa needs to talk to a professional because the things that she says about other people is absolutely disgusting. You were so upset at the experts because they didn't give you what you wanted. Like this is not a made to order type of thing. They give you what you need as far as trying to have a successful and healthy relationship, not what you want aesthetically. You can do that on your own. If you want to pick out a man that looks a certain way, what did she say? He had to have like a salamander tattoo or something. Go and get you that. Go and find that. You don't need experts for that. You need experts to help match you with someone that is conducive to a long-lasting, healthy marriage. That's what you need the experts for, not to find, some cute guy. You can go do that at a bar on any given night. Chris said that he should have asked for a divorce a lot sooner. He said that they broke the record as far as, getting a divorce the fastest. He says, I should have broken that record. because I should have asked for a divorce a lot sooner. Hallelujah and amen. Moving on to Jasmina and Michael. So I was really disappointed in Jasmina and Michael. It really broke my heart that this did not work out. And when I say it broke my heart, this is just a show for fun. It didn't affect me that much. Okay. I watch the show. When it's over, I click off and go about my business. So it's not like I'm thinking about these people when the show is over. I'm just trying to, like, as a matter of speech or whatever. When Jasmine and Michael didn't work out, I was really disappointed because, like I said, I felt like this couple really put in the work. They turned their relationship completely around. They went from zero to having absolutely no communication, not liking each other at all, not seeing any redeemable quality in one another, to saying yes on decision day. They put in the work in a very short period of time because the first month was wasted with them hating each other. And then they put in all the work the last remaining month. So in 1 month, they turned it around. And I was like, this is the success story of all success stories on Married at First Sight. So I really, 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 really was hoping for them to really make it. And plus, I wanted them to prove that psychic right when she said that they were going to regret not being with one another. And if they did stay together, they were going to have twins, because I wanted to see if they're really going to have twins, but we'll never know. So Michael said that they had quit talking for a month because after they had their first fight, she had said that he talked to her in a really aggressive tone. And it really bothered him that she used that word aggressive in describing his tone, because that's a very loaded word when it comes to, associating that word with a black man, because that's the stereotype of black men, that black men are very, very aggressive. So it really bothered him. And then he said that he didn't want to talk to her anymore because he didn't feel like he was being aggressive at all. He didn't think his tone was aggressive at all. And so he was like, well, if she thought that the way I talked to her was aggressive when it really wasn't, then I don't know how to talk to her. And no matter how I talk to her, she's going to take it as being aggressive. So he decided just to not talk to her, period. Then they did the Dr. Viviana exercise, and that's what really turned it around for them. And that's when they started making their improvements and putting in the work and seeing each other in a completely different light and giving each other a second chance. So Kevin then asked them, since decision day, are you still together? Y'all, my heart was pounding. And then it went to commercial break. And I was like, oh my God. So when they came back from commercial, Michael says that they are not together anymore. They broke up 2.5 weeks after decision day. And Michael was the one that really called it off because he was like, there was no purpose of them staying together. He says other than the fact that they had exchanged vows and that they had decided to stay married, there really was nothing else that was holding them together. And I remember Kevin Frazier said that basically you were friend zoned from the beginning because they talked about how there was still a lack of romance in their relationship. And Kevin Frazier was asking Michael, why didn't you try harder to to romanticize her? And Jasmina was like, you should have vocalized what you wanted, or you should have vocalized, wanting to be romantic with me. She made sure that she said the word vocalize because she was like, don't touch me, but you need to at least tell me how you want to be romantic with me, or whatever she was trying to tell him. And he was like, well, how can I keep doing that when she kept telling me time and time again, I'm not there yet, I'm not there yet, I'm not there yet. So he gave up. After the 10th time, the 20th time, the 50th time, she says that to you. You don't want to vocalize romance. You don't want to initiate any kind of romance. It's, you don't want to be constantly put down and rejected and denied all the time. It wears on a person. So that's when Frazier said, well, you were friend zoned from the very beginning. And Jasmina tried to make it seem like, no, because after we did our exercise, and I got to know him better, I started to feel more attracted to him. Well, you keep talking about how you were feeling more attracted to him, but you didn't want the man to touch you. And then I think in a roundabout way, she kind of admitted that she really didn't have any attraction for him since the wedding day. And She said that she did. She says, "Yeah, I was attracted to him. I thought he was attractive." And Kevin didn't buy it at all. He was like, "No, because y'all never had that spark between the two of you. Even with couples who struggle, they will still kind of have that spark between them. That spark was never there for y'all." Kevin said that y'all were always friends from day one until now. Y'all have always been like in a friend relationship. This is what it is, basically. It was never romantic. It was always a friend relationship. So, but the funny thing is, and Kevin also pointed this out, and I had noticed it as well, that even though they're not together, even though Jasmina continues to say that, she never got there with him romantically, she never had those romantic feelings for him. The weird thing about it is the way she was sitting next to him, Michael barely had any room to breathe. I mean, he was all the way at the end of the couch because next to him was the arm of the couch. He had nowhere else to go. And this woman was practically sitting in his lap. The way that she was just squished up next to him like that, which is kind of strange to me. You would think that the way Jasmina is, and like not really wanting any kind of physical touch with him, that she would have been at the other end of the couch with some type of space in between them. But no, she was all up, squoze up on him, like they were a couple. That was very bizarre to me. I didn't understand that at all. And so apparently Michael is moving on. Kevin was asking him, has he found another interest? He said, no, not really. And Kevin kept on pressuring him and pressuring him. And finally, Michael said, well, yeah, someone has sparked his interest, but he is not seeing anyone. I don't know why, but I kind of secretly hope that they kind of get back together, but I know it's not going to happen because Jasmine is just doesn't she's not there for that. She's not there for him at all in that way, period. Could she Was Michael the best thing that could have ever happened to Jasmina? No, I don't think so. Was she the best thing that could ever have happened to him? No, I don't think so. I think they can both find somebody better for themselves. Moving on to Noy and Steve. So they are still married. Noy still kept her apartment. Frazier asked, well, because you kept your apartment, so do you spend time in your apartment? Or do you spend most of your time with the home that you share with Steve? And she said that most of the time she's with Steve, but there are times when she goes to her apartment. I'm like, what? Okay. Why? Why would there ever be a time for you to go to your apartment? Because if you're having issues, I mean, I guess when you got to take a break, maybe if you're having an argument and, you don't want it to escalate and you don't want to go stay at a friend's house or get a hotel or sleep in your car. Yeah, she could just go to her apartment. So yeah, I guess that's a great idea. So they gave themselves a time frame because Frazier asked them about Steve working. Or are you looking for a job? Do you plan on working? And Steve said that they both came to an agreement that they gave themselves a time frame to revisit the job issue. So I guess right now financially they're okay. And I guess in a certain amount of however months, weeks, years, whatever time frame they gave themselves, they're going to come back, look at the finances and see, okay, are we at that point where we need more income coming in or are we still good? So that's what I'm assuming. I have no idea because they didn't go into a lot of details about, what they're going to be revisiting and how they're going to be revisiting this issue. So Kevin asked, how big is your bank account that allows you to just chill? Because it's like, okay, Steve is like the most relaxed, unbothered guy about money that I've ever seen, but he doesn't work. So I always assumed that his bank account was fat. That's what I've always assumed, that he's just not worried about getting a job because, he's got it like that. So he didn't give a specific number of how much is in his savings account, but he talked about how he does have enough in savings. He does have enough in investments. And he took advantage of the whole crypto thing. So that evidently is paying out really well for him. So financially, they're good. So Sriracha comes out, which is Noy's sister. Sriracha comes out, and I love Sriracha because Sriracha tells it like it is. She's very blunt, to the point, says what needs to be said. I love it. So Sriracha pointed out that where they are struggling as a couple from her point of view is that they are struggling with communication. Noy doesn't speak up enough about what she wants and how she feels. And Steve has a way of talking down to her like she's a child. So they both agree that they do need help and they do need work in their communication. And they're both in counseling for that. Sriracha also said that, In the beginning, she was kind of wary of Steve because this is not the kind of guy that her sister normally will be with, a guy who doesn't have a job. But I guess, Sriracha has an idea. I'm pretty sure Noi told her sister what that bank account be looking like. So Sriracha, I guess, feels a little bit better about Steve, and she's very supportive of their relationship, because she did say, I'm not just looking out for my sister, I'm also looking out for the both of them as a couple. So that was really nice that she came around like that, where she's like very, very accepting of Steve. Now, I feel like Sriracha should be an expert next season. What do y'all think about that? I really do believe that Sriracha would be a great expert. Like a layman type of expert, someone who doesn't necessarily have the credentials and whatnot, but like a layman type of expert. I'm all for that. Sriracha being like the visiting expert or something like that. Yeah. Now, the body language of Noi and Steve didn't match what they were telling us. So they're still together as a couple, but they weren't like all cuddled up on the couch. They were sitting at, there was some space between them. And not only was there space between them, but Noi was also kind of like leaning this way and Steve was kind of leaning that way. And Noi's whole demeanor to me seemed a little off. I don't know if that's just her personality, where she's like kind of down, or if there's something going on that she's not talking about, because we know that Noi doesn't talk about what's bothering her. So that was just all kind of weird to me. Yeah, so that's what I noticed about Noi. She just seems, I don't know if she was like kind of tense. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Moving on to Lindsay and Mark. So, Lindsay, she talked about how Mark was very different on camera than the way he was off camera. Off camera, he was distant. He was more concerned about his phone than he was about her, gave her no attention. But on camera, he was Mark the Shark. He had the personality, the charm, acted like he was really invested in this relationship. So, who knows? He denies it. We're not there when it's off camera. We don't see what she sees. So who knows if she's telling the truth or not. So Frazier asked him if they were still together, and surprise, surprise, they weren't. Mark called it quits after Lindsay gave up. Okay, so Lindsay said that after she gave up her apartment, moved in with Mark into his, I think it was the home that was left to him by his mom or his aunt or something, moved in with Mark, helped him renovate the entire house, deep cleaned it, she said she got rid of 2 generations worth of clutter. Made the house, nice and airy and cleaned out and beautiful. That's when he was like, you know what? I don't think I can do this anymore. She had already given up her apartment. The new tenants were moving in the day before. He dropped this bomb on her. And so she felt like she was being used. Like, he was only going to keep her long enough to fix up his home and then get rid of her. That's how she felt. Mark said that there were weekly arguments between them. They had several confrontations. He compares his relationship to Lindsay to when he was bullied as a child. And that is saying a lot, because you can imagine what a child goes through if they're being bullied by someone. Now, imagine feeling that same exact way in your marriage and feeling like you have no way out. That was saying a lot right there. When he made that comparison, it was like, okay, now I get how you feel. Now I see how you feel, Mark. Lindsay thinks that she's been very supportive of him, and the fact that she's been there for him, all the good that she's done for him, she believes should outweigh any negativity that she has brought into his life or any negative aspects of who she is. So, any good that she's done, that should just completely erase any bad that she's done. Whereas Mike sees it completely opposite. He feels like the bad that she's done or the negative aspects of Lindsay outweigh any good parts or the positive aspects of Lindsay. So these people were just not meant to be from day one. Lindsay, I kind of understand the kind of man that Lindsay likes, or the kind of man that Lindsay is attracted to. And it just wasn't Mark. There's something about Mark. I don't know what trauma he suffered. I don't know if it's like a relationship trauma or what he's gone through with his family, losing his dad, his mother being institutionalized. I don't know what is going on with Mark, but Mark seems like he's not completely 100% at ease or at peace, because he was constantly like, for him to like jerk away from Lindsay whenever she would reach out to touch his arm. That was bizarre to me. Number one, I understand wanting and needing your personal space. I get it. I understand sometimes you don't want to be touched, you don't want to be physical. I get it. But it seems like this was something else that was different from that. That was beyond that. Like, I don't know, like, when you think of, I don't even know, like, when you think of like a puppy that's been abused, and anytime that like a human comes close to them, they shy away. I don't know what it is, but every time that he would jerk away from her, it was just crazy to me. Like, it was just crazy. I didn't understand that. He has the right to feel how he feels. He has the right to not want to be touched. But it was still a little bit odd. There was just something about Mark that just seemed like he was troubled. He was really, really troubled by something. And I don't think Lindsay was a good match, because Lindsay was unaware of that. Lindsay did not know really how to deal with him with kid gloves. She didn't know how to be gentle with him, how to be intuitive with how he was, and to kind of like really study him and figure out exactly how to connect with him. It was just going to be her way or no way. She came at him aggressive. She didn't really care about what he was going through. She was kind of like, hey, you need to be happy, put a smile on your face and act like you're happy to be with me. That's the kind of vibes that she gave off. And he needed a woman who was a little bit more sympathetic, who was a little bit more intuitive, a little bit more observant, and someone who was willing to just talk to him. And I think that's one thing that Mark really wanted. He wanted someone who would really just sit down and talk to him and have a conversation with him and get to know him on a much deeper level. But Lindsay she didn't have the patience for that at all. So Lindsay believes that she upgraded him because she said that, she fixed his house. She helped him get a better paying job. Whatever job he has now, I don't know if it was a firefighter job or what it was. Whatever job he has now, it is the highest paying job that he's ever had in his life. And she attributes that completely to herself. She says that she's 100% responsible for that. And so she feels like she upgraded him and made him better for the next woman. And when she said that, that just showed how bitter she was when she said that. She's very, very bitter. I don't know why she would be bitter. I don't know if she feels like, nobody rejects Lindsay. I don't know who the hell you think you are. Nobody rejects me. I don't know if she's coming from that angle, or if she was coming from, I really wanted to be with him. I wanted this to work out with him, but it's not going to. And maybe I don't know if she was coming from that angle of bitterness. But when she said, I upgraded him, I made him better, I made him a better version of himself so that the next woman can enjoy him, that sounded like a very bitter ex. Lindsay said that Mark was more concerned about being accepted by the other guys in the group, that Mark puts a lot of emphasis on how other people view him, what other people think of him. He puts more importance on that than what his own wife thinks of him or how his own wife views him. And so she couldn't stand that. To her, that's like a weak-minded man. Lindsay has moved to San Francisco. She is currently dating. She talked about how wonderful whatever guy that she's dating right now, he's so intelligent, he's intellectual, he's this, he's that, blah, blah, blah. And so Fraser asked her, well, you're kind of throwing a dig at Mark. Do you not think he's intellectual enough? And she was like, no, he's not intellectual. She says, no, I like an intellectual kind of person, an academic type of person. She says, I don't really go for the artistic types. I don't know why she said artistic. What does Mark do that's artistic? Or the creative type, she says. She doesn't really go for the creative type. She goes for more the intellectual, academic type. That's why she dates a lot of engineers. And I think she'll find a lot of engineers in the Bay Area. So yeah, she's happy in California, supposedly, allegedly. And Mark said he is not dating anyone. He doesn't want to date anyone. He needs to work on himself right now. And is there any chance of them remaining friends? Lindsay was like, hell to the no. I don't need his friendship. And Mark was like, I guess not. I was willing to be her friend, but hey, if she don't need me, I don't need her. And that is my review of Married at First Sight Reunion Part 1. I think the real test of whether or not the experts got it right is if these couples can stay together for one full year. So, because they're still together after decision day, because they're still together on the reunion, is really not it's not an attestament to anything. A real test of whether or not these couples are good together, that they really were meant to be, or that there's a possibility of them working out, is if they've stayed together for at least a year after from the date of their marriage. And that's it, y'all. Thank you so much for sticking it through with me for this whole 35 minutes. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, subscribe. If you don't like this content, carry on. Thank you for stopping by anyway, and I will definitely talk to you later.